Welcome back to Really Legal. I am attorney Ethan Bearman. This was a wild day in court today for Donald Trump in New York, and I'm going to spill the beans on something from behind the scenes at Fox News. I'll give you the good, the bad, and what's next. So Stormy Daniels was on the stand again today, being cross-examined by the Trump defense team. And as I said the other day in the previous video, I think their strategy was all wrong. Listening to your client can lead you down the wrong path sometimes if you're doing things to appease your client. For example, what happened in today's testimony with Stormy Daniels, Stephanie Clifford, on the stand was the Trump defense team asking questions about what a great golfer, how good was the tournament for Donald Trump, where you met him. Ugh, this is ridiculous. And by the way, if you bother going back and checking, I believe he was 62nd out of 83 of the celebrities at that golf tournament. So it's just terrible. But ultimately, the issue was this. They were attacking Stormy Daniels. The reports from inside the courtroom were that the jurors stopped taking notes. And what everybody will tell you, actually, I was having a conversation with another attorney over lunch today on this exact topic. When the jury stops taking notes, they don't need to hear much of what's going on, or they've already believed the witness. Your cross-examination in the case of Trump's defense team here is not going well for you. They were taking notes when she was testifying, according to the reporting from inside the courtroom. Remember, we don't have video evidence of what's going on. We have transcript after the fact, and we have reporting from the various reporters during the hearing on things like Twitter, Washington Post is posting live, CNN, New York Times, etc. So we know that the jurors stopped taking notes. This is not a good sign. They were attacking Stormy Daniels, trying to make her feel bad. They were doing essentially blame the rape victim for getting raped. That's exactly what this sounded like today. Now, Stormy Daniels is not accusing Donald Trump of rape. That's not where we are with this. But the point is, it didn't sound good. They had their chance on cross-examination. The prosecution then redirected. And what's fascinating, and when they were done with Stormy Daniels, and I think this was a huge bombshell today, or it should be used at least in any campaign ads against Donald Trump in the 2024 election. There's a report that I haven't seen the actual transcript yet because this is being recorded just after everybody was sent home today in New York. But there's a woman, Rebecca Minoschio. She was an accountant at the Trump organization, and she testified today that she was busy sending checks for the Trump organization to the White House through his security guy for Trump to personally sign. Now, do any of you remember January 11th, 2017, Donald Trump gave a news conference, a full press conference that included somebody, I believe it was from the tax law firm of Morgan Lewis, who, after Trump was no longer president, dropped him as a client. But they were the ones that stood there with all those stacks of paper saying, oh no, there's no violation of emoluments. Donald Trump will step back. And in his own words, his kids were going to take over the Trump organization. I'm going to play you this clip. Take a listen.
My company. And now they realize my company is much bigger, much more powerful than they ever thought. We're in many, many countries, and I'm very proud of it. And what I'm going to be doing is my two sons, who are right here, Don and Eric, are going to be running the company. They are going to be running it in a very professional manner. They're not going to discuss it with me. Again, I don't have to do this. They're not going to discuss it with me. And with that, I'm going to bring up Sherry Dillon, and she's going to go, these papers are just some of the many documents that I've signed, turning over complete and total control.
Sir, can we ask you one more question on Russia, though, sir?
Justified.
Go ahead.
Good morning.
So he lied on January 11th, 2017, if they still were sending checks to him all the way to Washington, D.C. for his personal signature, his sons were not running the company. He was still running the company. This is a whole nother area that Congress or constitutional amendment, whichever form it needs to take place, presidents cannot be running other businesses while serving as president of the United States. I don't care, Republican, Democrat. I don't care if we're talking about Jimmy Carter or Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. They cannot be running a privately owned company while president of the United States. We saw this happen with the Trump Hotel in D.C. There were foreign governments renting massive amounts of room, having private events, whatever, at the Trump Hotel in D.C. while Trump was president. That's a form of currying favor. That's a form of buying off the president. We can't have that. The laws must change on this topic. So Trump himself lied to the American people. This spokeswoman from, I believe it was Morgan Lewis, appears to have not been particularly honest as well in her assessment. So that's my takeaway of finding out that Donald Trump was sending checks, or his organization, the Trump organization, was sending the checks to DC for his personal signature. This is unreal that this is not a bigger issue. That's one of the biggest takeaways. One of the other things I thought that was very interesting is there was testimony from one of Donald Trump's, the last witness of the day, I should say. One of Donald Trump's aides talked about transferring his contact list from the Trump organization to his White House contact list. And one of those people was Jeanine Pirro. Now, I want to share with you something that's really interesting. I've been on Jeanine Pirro's show on Fox News while Donald Trump was president. You can find those clips out there on the internet. Maybe I can find one here to stick in for you.
If laws are broken, people need to be held to account. We had 9 federal agencies that were responsible for approving the Uranium One deal.
Yeah, they were all part of the Obama cabal.
Sure, but you also know how huge that bureaucracy is and the number of people that are involved in those
Yeah,
decisions.
Eric Holder, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton.
And the
Come
Administrative
on.
Procedures Act controls how that actually functions in Washington and how rules are done and deals are
So
made.
you think it was a clean deal?
I don't necessarily know that it was a clean deal, but there are a lot of parties involved. So just to point a finger at 1 or 2 people, that seems very suspect.
I
with the size
pointed you
of
to
that
3
bureaucrat.
already, and you know what's amazing? The same people involved in that criminal investigation that they hid are the people who are trying to connect Trump to Russia, which after 1 year, nobody can find any evidence. Larry Elder, hit it.
Well, Judge, Ethan is right in that it's unclear whether or not the 9 or so entities that are in.
But the point is, when we took a break during Judge Jeanine Pirro's show, she was talking to Donald Trump. While he was president of the United States, he was watching her show. She was talking to him during a break. It was unbelievable to me. I mean, I wasn't mad at Jeanine Pirro in the slightest for having the conversation with Donald Trump. The fact that the president of the United States is busy watching cable news while he's president of the United States, and that's how he's spending his time. He also quoted me after the Parkland shooting. I was on Fox News shortly after the shooting to suggest some new gun reforms. He had quoted those that night. And then after the NRA spoke with him, of course, he went back on anything that he had talked about that night. So we know that he was busy watching cable news. Everything about this is insane to me. And we still haven't gotten to Michael Cohen. All right, one last thing that happened in today's trial that's fascinating. They again moved for a mistrial because of Stormy Daniels' testimony. And Judge Merchan again said, no mistrial. However, I will say this. They also asked for the gag order to be removed from Donald Trump regarding Stormy Daniels now that she has testified. Obviously, Judge Merchan said no to that. So they just keep losing. But the key here, again, is this is not a slam dunk. Falsification of business records is the basis of the charges. But for it to become a felony, the intent to commit another crime here, DA Alvin Bragg suggested it's either New York state election law, federal election law, or tax law. That is still the leap that we need to finish closing the loop on. We have testimony from David Pecker that indicates it. I'm still waiting for Michael Cohen. That is going to tell us how this case most likely is going to turn out. Give me your comments below. What do you think of all of this? I'd love your comments. You know that. Again, you've got to share these videos. Help us out. Help get other people to subscribe and watch the videos. Really, really count on you for that. Thank you so much for it. Click that like button. Smash the subscribe button. Look forward to talking to you again soon. I'm attorney Ethan Bearman. This is Really Legal on the Really American Network.